Lee Min-ho breaks silence. My wedding was supposed to happen in 2025. The truth stuns fans. What could possibly have stopped Korea's most iconic leading man from walking down the aisle when the world was ready to celebrate? A secret long buried is finally coming to light. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover the shocking truth and explore the untold story behind Lee Min-ho's confession, right now. The cameras flash like lightning bolts across the crowded press hall. But no one could have prepared for the thunder that followed. Lee Min-ho, South Korea's ultimate leading man. The global star whose name had long been synonymous with romance and perfection, leaned toward the microphone, his eyes steady yet shadowed by something deeper. He took a breath, then released a sentence that would stop the hearts of fans across the world. My wedding, he began, his voice quiet but piercing through the silence, was supposed to happen in 2025. It was a revelation no one had expected. A confession that left even the most seasoned reporters frozen. The atmosphere inside the room shifted instantly, as if a storm had broken through the walls. Gasps filled the air. Pens clattered onto tables. And the cameras that had been flashing nonstop suddenly stilled in disbelief. Around the globe, fans clutched their phones as push notifications from breaking news alerts lit up screens. Social media erupted within seconds. Hashtags flooding timelines faster than anyone could scroll. Lee Min-ho, truth stunts fans. Unspoken confession. But behind the uproar, there was only one question that burned in everyone's mind. Why had the wedding never happened? For years, Lee Min-ho's love life had been the subject of fascination, rumors, and endless speculation. He had been linked to actresses, idols, even rumored foreign partners. But the truth had always remained elusive. Despite his towering fame, he had managed to build an impenetrable wall around his personal life. Fans adored him not just for his looks and acting, but also for the mystery that clung to him. Yet now, in one shocking confession, he had torn down the very wall he had guarded for so long. The story began long before 2025, in the quiet corridors of his private life that few ever glimpsed. By all accounts, the wedding had been real. Plans were drawn, invitations drafted, a venue secured. Insiders later revealed that preparations had been underway as early as late 2024. The ceremony was to be grand yet intimate, held at one of Seoul's most exclusive hotels overlooking the Han River, a setting fit for Korea's brightest star. The guest list was said to be dazzling: top actors, directors, producers, friends from across the globe. Designers had already begun sketching what was rumored to be one of the most elaborate wedding suits Lee Min-ho would ever wear, while whispers of the bride's gown hinted at something ethereal and unforgettable. And yet, despite the meticulous planning, the wedding never came. No announcements followed. No explanations were offered. 2025 passed in silence, the rumors dissolving into nothing but smoke. Until now, Lee Min-ho's revelation wasn't just a statement, it was an emotional earthquake. His eyes, glistening under the lights, betrayed the weight of everything he had carried in silence. Fans who had always seen him as untouchable now watched a man bearing his humanity. In that moment, the star of Boys Over Flowers, the king, eternal monarch, and countless beloved dramas was no longer just a character on screen, he was a man confessing the deepest truth of his heart. The press leaned in, waiting for more. And he gave it. The truth, he said softly. Life does not always go as planned. Love does not always unfold the way we imagine. He trembled. Not from weakness but from the raw honesty he could no longer hold back. What had stopped the wedding? Some whispered about family objections. Others about scheduling conflicts. Still others about the crushing pressures of fame. But as Lee Min-ho continued, he hinted at something far more personal, far more painful. It was not about the venue, nor the schedules, nor the industry politics. It was about the complexity of love itself, the struggle to balance a heart that longed for intimacy with a world that demanded transparency. Friends close to the actor later shared that 2025 had been a year of contradiction for him. Professionally, he was at his peak, filming international projects, courted by Hollywood producers, his face dominating billboards from Tokyo to Los Angeles. Personally, he was ready to take the biggest step of his life, to declare his love before the world. But just as the date drew closer, it began to form. The pressures of fame, suffocating scrutiny of the media, the relentless chase of paparazzi, They all converged into a storm that threatened to swallow the wedding before it began. For Lee Min-ho, the choice was agonizing. Go ahead with the wedding meant exposing the person he loved most to the unforgiving glare of global fame. To cancel meant breaking his own heart. In the end, he chose silence. He chose protection over spectacle. Secrecy over exposure. He spoke at the press conference. Tears welled in the eyes of reporters. Fans watching live streams around the world wept openly. Their hearts breaking not from betrayal but from empathy. They realized that their idol had sacrificed his own happiness to shield someone else. In doing so, he had proven that love was not about perfect fairy tales, but about the messy, painful choices that come with it. Even as he revealed the heartbreak, there were glimmers of hope in his words. It did not happen, he admitted. But the love was real. It is still real. That single sentence reignited speculation. Filling endless debates online. Was he still in love? Was the relationship ongoing? Was there still a chance for the wedding to happen in the future? In the hours that followed, global media outlets scrambled to cover the story. The Korea Times called it the confession of the decade. Variety dubbed it the moment Lee Min-ho became more than an actor, he became a man. Fans across Asia organized online vigils, lighting candles and sharing messages of support. In Latin America, where Lee Min-ho commands an enormous fan base, murals appeared overnight celebrating his courage. In Europe, entertainment shows dissected every syllable of his statement, speculating endlessly about what it all meant. But perhaps the most telling reaction came from his colleagues. Fellow actors took to social media, praising his bravery. One director who had worked with him wrote, "I have seen Lee Min-ho act 1,000 roles, but today, I saw him play himself for the first time." Fashion had transformed him. No longer was he just the flawless prince of Korean dramas. Now he was a man scarred, vulnerable, yet stronger for it. And in that vulnerability, found him more relatable, more human, and more beloved than ever. As part one of his confession drew to a close, thing was certain, the wedding of 2025 may not have happened, but its absence had carved it deeper. Unforgettable chapter in the saga of Lee Min-ho's life, and the world, stunned and moved breathlessly for what would come next. The world was still spinning from Lee Min-ho's shocking confession. In the hours after his words rippled across Seoul, the story had crossed oceans, dominated headlines in every continent, and ignited a firestorm of speculation. Fans who had long fantasized about their idol's love life now found themselves not only stunned but also deeply invested in the truth behind his broken wedding plan. Why had 2025, the year that was meant to mark the most joyous occasion in his personal life, instead become a year etched in silence? The actor continued to speak. The room leaned closer, the silence almost suffocating. "I cannot share everything," he admitted, his voice breaking with both strength and sorrow. "But I can tell you this, sometimes love is not about standing on a stage for the world to see. It is about what you choose to protect when no one is watching." One line became immortal within minutes. Social media feeds flooded with his quote. Fans reposted it with teary emojis, and news anchors read it aloud as though it were a line from a legendary drama. But this was no script. This was Lee Min-ho, stripped of character, revealing the most painful decision of his life. The aftermath of his revelation was as dramatic as the confession itself. Outside the press hall, fans gathered in the cold, some crying, some shouting words of support. "We'll wait for you," they yelled, holding up posters. Inside, reporters scrambled to break stories, their headlines sensational and sorrowful all at once. Living rooms around the globe, people whispered the same question: who was the bride-to-be? And what had gone so terribly wrong? Swirled with greater intensity than ever before. Tabloids claimed that the bride had been a well-known actress, her identity deliberately concealed to protect her from the ruthless scrutiny of public opinion. Others argued it had been a non-celebrity woman from his past who wanted no part of the spotlight. Still others speculated that industry politics had interfered, that powerful figures behind the scenes had pressured the couple apart. Yet through all the noise, Lee Min-ho maintained his silence. Not confirm names, did not feed gossip, did not surrender the dignity of the person he had loved. Instead, his focus shifted to something far more important, explaining how the experience had changed him forever. In interviews following the press event, he spoke candidly about the weight of expectations. When you live under the spotlight, he said, every smile, every step, every glance is judged. When it comes to love, the world forgets that actors are humans too. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to protect us. His words were not rehearsed. They came out raw, heavy, and filled with the kind of vulnerability his fans had never seen before. The confession revealed another truth: the wedding may not have happened, but the love had left a permanent mark on him. Friends later recalled how he changed during that period. He became quieter, more introspective. At gatherings, no longer dominated conversations with laughter. Instead, he often drifted into silence, his eyes far away, lost in memories. Yet at the same time, they described him as more grounded, more real. Stop chasing perfection, one colleague admitted. He started chasing meaning. Transformation began to reflect in his career choices. After 2025, Lee Min-ho turned down major commercial projects that would have guaranteed enormous paychecks. Instead, he sought roles that resonated with his heart, characters who were flawed, broken, yet resilient. Critics noticed the shift immediately, praising his performances as deeper, more nuanced, as though life itself had infused his craft with a new soul. Fans, too, recognized the difference. Watching him act now felt like watching a man who had lived through fire and emerged with scars he wasn't afraid to show. The impact extended beyond the screen. Lee Min-ho began speaking more openly about mental health, about the hidden struggles of fame, about the pressures that suffocate those who appear to have it all. He donated quietly to organizations supporting couples and families under duress, often doing so without attaching his name. And when fans organized online campaigns asking him to be happy first, before entertaining us, he responded with heartfelt gratitude, admitting that their love had given him strength when he had none left for himself. But the question of the cancelled wedding lingered. It was not just fans who wondered, reporters, analysts, even fellow actors speculated privately. Slowly, fragments of the story began to piece themselves together. Insiders claimed that the decision had not been born of cold feet, nor betrayal, but of sacrifice. The woman he loved, whoever she was, had felt overwhelmed by the idea of living in his shadow. Every move dissected by millions of strangers, according to those close to the situation, had begged for privacy, for a chance to live free of the suffocating lens of fame. Lee Min-ho, torn between his desire to marry her and his duty to protect her, chose the latter. He gave up the wedding so she could have her peace. Narrative, though never officially confirmed, spread like wildfire. And instead of anger, fans responded with admiration. The idea that their idol would give up his own happiness for the sake of someone else's dignity only deepened their love for him. Across fan forums, messages poured in. This is what true love looks like. Sacrificed everything. And that makes him even greater. We'll wait for the day he finds his happiness again. For Lee Min-ho, the journey was bittersweet. Admitted to moments of regret. Nights when he lay awake wondering if he had done the right thing. He also confessed that the decision, as painful as it was, had taught him the meaning of selfless love. Sometimes, he said, love is not about possession. Sometimes, it's about letting go. The years following 2025 became a period of growth. He redefined what love meant, not as a performance for cameras but as something sacred, private, and worth guarding fiercely. Put himself into his craft, into friendships, into family. And though he never confirmed whether the relationship continued, fans could sense that a part of his heart remained tethered to that unfinished wedding, to the altar that never was. Well, hope lingered. At the end of his confession, he left fans with a tantalizing possibility. When the time is right, he said, glimmering with both pain and promise, I will stand before you again, not as an actor, not as a character, but as a man ready to love without fear. The statement was enough to ignite 1,000 theories. Was he hinting at a future wedding? Was there still a chance that the love of 2025 could be revived? Or was he speaking about a new beginning, one yet to be written? Whatever the truth, one thing was undeniable: his words had humanized him in a way no drama ever could. He was no longer just the flawless leading man of K-dramas. He was a man who had loved, lost, and dared to confess the truth. And in that truth, fans saw themselves, not in his fame, but in his vulnerability, his sacrifice. longing for something beyond the screen. As the cameras packed away, as the lights dimmed, and as the frenzy of headlines eventually quieted, image remained, Lee Min-ho, bowing deeply, thanking his fans for standing by him. Voice trembling with sincerity. The wedding of 2025 may not have taken place, but in its absence, a story even greater had been born, a story of love's complexity, of sacrifice's beauty, of truth's power. So, the saga of Lee Min-ho's untold wedding did not end with a ceremony, but with a promise that love, no matter how delayed, or how bruised, would one day find its stage again. And when it does, the world will not just watch, they will celebrate with him. Because in his heartbreak, he had given them something more powerful than a wedding, he had given them his heart. To every reader who has stayed with me through this emotional journey of Lee Min-ho's untold wedding story, thank you. Your time, your empathy. Open hearts are what give meaning to stories like this. Beyond the glamour of fame, it is your support and compassion that remind us why truth matters. May this piece not only entertain you, but also inspire you to believe in love, resilience, and the courage to be honest, even when the world is watching. With gratitude. The author.